So you want to learn how to create a custom Lego Fortnite map? Well, you came to the right place. Well, if you're like me, you're going to log into Fortnite, look at all the custom maps, and think to yourself at one point, I wonder if I can make my own map. Well, in today's video, I'm going to show you just how to do that by walking you through how to make a player versus player or a team versus team style map. Now, before I get started, I have a quick disclaimer to mention. I am not a pro map maker. I'm a regular person who took the time to learn how to do this and wanted to share what I learned so that you can start making your own maps as well. As we work through this process, there's a couple of tips that I'd like to pass along. The first is to have patience. Patience is needed to overcome a lot of the obstacles that you're going to come across while creating maps. The next important tip is to keep good notes. As you're working through various map functions, there's going to be numbers associated with them. Keeping good notes is going to help you be successful in maintaining organization to all the different function numbers associated with map making. And the last tip I wanted to pass along is if you created maps in regular Fortnite before, it's important to keep in mind that Lego Fortnite maps are slightly different. Not all the same functions that you were able to do in regular Fortnite will apply to Lego Fortnite maps. So as we work through the process, know that it might be different simply because it's a Lego Fortnite map. Now for step one in the process, if you have not done so already, you're going to need to go to create.fortnite.com and sign up in the creator portal for a new Lego Fortnite creator account. This is different than having a standard creator account. There are some additional requirements associated with it. First of all, you need to be in creative for 6 days in a row prior to, or you would have had to spend at least $70 in purchases recently in order to qualify for a Lego creator account. Once you have the ability to create Lego Fortnite islands, the next step is to go into your creator portal, click on the button to create a new map, select the template you want to use. In this particular case, you're going to want to select one of the Lego templates and go ahead and name it. In my case, I'm going to name it Team versus Team. Once you save the name, the portal is going to open up and you're going to be able to jump into your new map that you're about to create. Now in my case, I chose to use a blank island because I didn't want any structures in my way while I build all of my new map that's going to be custom from the very start. Once you've landed and found a suitable location for where you'd like to construct your build at, the next step is to find content. In there you're going to look in your galleries and find the walls and floor pieces that you want to begin using to create your arena. Once you find the items you want to use, the next best thing to do is go ahead and equip them down below. And after you've equipped them, the next step is to go ahead and place those items onto your island somewhere that you're going to be able to do some copying and pasting. Now that I have all the gallery pieces loaded onto my island, what I'm going to begin to do is copy and paste the pieces that I want in order to construct my arena. In my particular case, I like to start with the floors. As I complete the first section of flooring, you'll see that I'm going to begin the second section of flooring. This is associated with the inside of my arena. I only do this simply because it's going to help me as I construct my walls. Now that my flooring is complete, the next step is to find a suitable wall that I'd like to use for my arena. Once I have that, I'm going to go over and begin to construct all the arena walls in particular. So the wall piece that I selected actually has two different colors on it, one on one side and one on the other. So for me to change colors, all I had to do was simply rotate the piece. Feel free to select any color piece that you'd like to use for your arena. What I'm doing now is sectioning off a portion outside of the arena that will represent the starting position for each team. This will be the same on both sides. And just like that, the basic layout of my arena is now complete. Now it's time to move on to the next step, which will provide playing functions associated with this map. In order to add players to the map, the first thing you need to do is go back to Find Content, under Devices, and then select the player spawner and equip it. With the player spawner equipped, the first thing you're going to want to do is place the first one down. From here, I would pause on doing the others in favor of programming the functions for all the pads you're going to use specifically for each team. With the first player spawner programmed correctly, the next step is to copy and paste all the player spawn points that you're going to want to use for the same team. With the one side complete for Team 1, it was time to take that same one I copied from that side and move it over to the other one and begin my programming for that side. Well, the only difference is I'm going to program this side for Team 2, then copy and paste that same function over to all the other spawn points for the other side. So one of the things that is going to be unique to this map that I'm making here is we're going to have a location in which players are going to spawn pre-game. This is a holding area prior to actually spawning into the arena for the actual game itself. As a result, I'm going to program these pads just a little bit differently than I did the others, but don't worry, I'm about to display all the settings that I use for both pads. Please feel free to pause the video while I display the settings associated with each of the spawn pads. One will be associated to the pre-game lobby and the other for the game start locations. The next step is to create barriers. Barriers are used to simply limit player travel. To do this, let's go ahead and equip it first. The first barrier I'm going to add is to put one over my pre-game lobby. This prevents players from leaving the area prior to the game starting. What I'm doing now is adjusting the barrier to better fit my arena. I also adjusted the parameters associated with the arena that included the height, the depth, the width, the color, when it appears. In my case, it's pre-game. I selected color as Nebula. It was sized to fit my arena, and then I moved on to the next step. My next part was to apply a barrier to the top of my arena. This prevents players from escaping the arena during gameplay. In my case, this is being programmed for gameplay only, and I'm allowing players to see the sky during gameplay, so I leave visibility off. Last but not least, I resized the barrier and I'm fine-tuning where it sits particularly on my arena to cover it up well. The last barrier that I'll be adding to both sides of the arena is actually a barrier to prevent players from going into the arena until gameplay actually starts. This will be placed on a timer. Now that the first one is complete on the one side, what I'm doing is copying and pasting it over to the other side to prevent me from having to redo all of those settings twice. Now that the barriers are complete, the next thing I'm going to do is equip the timer. I'm going to use the timer to disable the barriers that I used at the arena entrance. This allows players to go into the arena during normal gameplay. With my timer equipped, I then select a location to drop it. Here is where I program the duration of 10 seconds, which I will use to disable the barriers. Now that I've adjusted the time, the next thing to do is to go to the Advanced tab of the timer device. This is where I'm going to add both of the barriers that I intend to disable after the timer is complete. Now that the barriers and timers are programmed accordingly, it is time to test my game. I'm going to do this by hitting Start Game and seeing what happens. Here I am, the barrier's in place, we have a timer holding him back, waiting on the timer, and voila, I am open to the arena. We have a functioning game now. The next step in the process is to go back to your galleries once again and find the pieces that you'd like to use to complete out the rest of your arena. In my case, I'm going to use blocks and triangles. The design of your arena or map is completely up to you, using whatever galleries you want, whatever pieces you want. Be creative, design the arena exactly how you want, and have fun with it. In my case, this is how I ended up. Now that the arena is built, it's time to give it a test, run around, see how you like it, see if you want to make any other changes. We first begin this step by equipping the Team Settings device. This is what we are going to use to program the settings for our individual teams, as well as program the tools that you'll want to use for your game. There is a lot that you can program associated with team settings. Here on my screen is where I'm going to display the settings I use for this particular map. Feel free to pause the video to record these settings. These settings are just what I used. Feel free to change them however you'd like. Once the first team is programmed, what you're going to want to do is copy and paste the team settings device over to program for the second team. In this case, all I need to do is change the team name. And the last step for me to finalize my team settings is to go ahead and drop the tools that I want my players to have for the match. In my case, the two tools that I want my players to use during the match is going to be the grappler and the burst pulse rifle tool. To do this, I'm going to select the device and then drop it, which will automatically place it in the team player settings. And just like that, the two devices are now programmed into the team settings so that when we start the game, our players will automatically start with both the grappler and the burst pulse rifle tool. Now that our map is completely built, our team settings are put in place. All devices are functioning properly. The only last thing to do is to go ahead and program the overall island settings that will be used for the entire map itself. This is the final step in the process to completing your game. Like before, I'm going to display all the settings that I use for this particular map. Feel free to change them however you want in your map, but in my instance, this is what I used. Once again, pause your video as needed to record these settings to duplicate them. Also note that I'm only displaying the values that I've changed. I have left all the default values alone and have not displayed them in any of these screens. As before, if you wish to change any of these settings, feel free to do so. These are just how I programmed my map. Almost done, just a few more to go, and you are ready to have a fully functional, playable map that you can share with friends. And there you have it, a completely functional and playable map that you could share with everyone. If you want to take the next step and make this map public so that others can play it as well, there's a lot of steps involved with that. Stay tuned for another video featuring that. If this video has made you successful in completing your very own map, please show your appreciation by liking, subscribing, and sharing this video with your friends. Also, be sure to check out my own map that I have released just recently, which is called Paintball Arena Battle. It is very similar to this one, to where you could see how gameplay actually takes place. Once again, thanks for gaming with me. Until next time, make sure to keep gaming in your crosshairs.